Hey, welcome back to another exciting episode of YOML, a year of magical learning. For those of you who are new here, welcome to our show. So today we're probably gonna skip the philosophy and talk about something else. What you got
Uh,
today, Chris?
Yeah, it sounds good. We have been on a little bit of a philosophy kick the past couple of days. It'll be nice to not talk about philosophy. Today, we're going to be talking about this book called Sacred Cow: The Case for Better Meat, Why Well-Raised Meat is Good for You and Good for the Planet by the authors Diane Rodgers and Rob Wolf. You're the meat expert between the two of us. I know you've read this book, so I'll let you talk about the book and what it is and just your general, you know, thoughts on these kind of things because I know that you're way more passionate about this one than I
Right,
am.
right. So to me, I think it's maybe I can give you a little background of why I'm down this path. Because a lot of times, we only learn things from what people tell us. And a lot of time, you just like we talked about yesterday, we're talking about Stoic. The only reason why I know Stoic is from Google. Somebody tells me, hey, these guys just taking shit and don't even show emotions. And
Right.
that's what you learn. But not until I talk to you and you have told me the real reason, the real concept why they do things that way, right? It
Mhm.
completely changes my perceptions on the topic. This is another of these things. For me, the reason why I'm a meat guy is because my body, for lack of a better word, has not evolved like the populations. Like I have diabetes and I have the worst case of diabetes. Like it's very bad for me. So for me, is I'm because of my inability to evolved to eat grains and eat all these carb and sugar, right? My body
Mhm.
just not doing it, so I have to find different ways to do it. And one of the things I found was, if our ancestor before the advent of agriculture, right? What do they eat? They eat mostly meat. So that's why I went into this meat dive of, what am I supposed to be eating if my body inherited from my ancestor that I have not, because I cannot burn the carb like most of the population.
No, no,
Those
nobody
people
can
who don't
burn.
have diabetes, right?
Most people, nobody can burn the carbs that we, the amount of carbs that we eat. Nobody can burn them unless you're like Michael Phelps and you're swimming like 9,000 miles a day or something like that. Like there's nobody out there, or a marathon runner.
Because even you do that, you still wreak havoc on your system. Because
Oh
even if
yeah,
you can burn it with the intensity of Michael Phelps, right? You're still the vessel of these reactions. Whatever those reactions inside your system,
right.
it's going to burn out eventually. It's going to have wear and tear. So kind of, long story short is I want to figure out, why I don't evolve. And through the book, The Sacred Cow, it kind of like gives you elevate a point that people are making, that I think it kind of gives you that curveball, just because the premise for the society, what society told me is that eating meat is bad. Eating fat is bad. You should only eat like lean meat, eating all these vegetables or eating these whole wheat and
Hmm.
whatever. So this is the narrative that was given to me as the society told me that's what I needed to eat. But because I follow those strict guidelines by USDA and everybody else, my body didn't adapt to it. So Diane and Rob Wolf basically say, well, eh, what people saying is bad isn't really bad. It's they did it for some other reason. Isn't
Hmm.
because cows are bad, and meat are bad, and all these things that you're not supposed to eat too much of is bad. And so, and people give all kind of reason why eating meat is bad. Whether it's bad for you, give you a heart attack, it's bad for environment, because the cow gives you, they poop and you have like
Right.
carbon dioxide and whatever, blah blah blah, right? So the
Farts. It
book
was
is
cow farts.
cow farts,
Methane. Yeah. Yeah.
methanes,
Yeah.
whatever. So basically, they're saying this, don't eat meat, because when you eat meat, they have to raise more cows and cattle, and it's gonna be you have more farts and cow farts and cow dung. They create all these atmospheric, environmental
Right.
gas, which is bad for you, right? And so if you don't do it for yourself, for your health, like if you don't care about heart attack and all these other cardiovascular diseases, care for your environment, which is,
Right.
what society's narrative is giving to me.
I
To
mean,
me,
yeah.
that's what people are telling me. The book is essentially
I don't want to say it disputes that either, because it addresses it. I think it fairly addresses it, because I don't have like I started off this reflection was I don't have a dog in this fight. Like I thought it was I thought it was a very balanced.
But I'm saying is that, we as society putting a negative thought in a concept that isn't true. So this is what the book is about, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that's a good summary. Before I start this reflection, I wanted to share a story that has nothing to do with the reflection, but it has to do with like diets and poor diets and stuff. And, I've never been physically overweight, but I think when I got a blood test, maybe like 5 years ago or something like that, for like an insurance test, it showed that I was on the verge of being pre-diabetic. And I was like, huh? It's like, how the fuck am I? I mean, I was like, I
it's you're either diabetic or you pre-diabetic.
Right. Everybody's pre-diabetic.
It's like a whole population, right? So the pandemic is that,
everybody's pre-diabetic. Yeah.
Everybody's pre-diabetic.
Yeah, I agree.
So like by default, you are pre-diabetic.
Right.
And then large populations and growing is diabetic, like in the diabetic stage, right? And so for me, it's like I don't think my body has advanced enough to take on these diet that we are eating today.
Right. Well, I agree, and that's a part of the reflection. But I was going to say this has a little bit of a side reflection of just how bad the paradigms that you're given as a child with diet and health in our society, like especially in American society. I can't comment on other countries because I didn't grow up in other countries, but I grew up in the Midwest in America, right? And this blew my mind. I had this, not the other day, it was probably like 2 years ago. I had this epiphany. I was like, oh my God, I was like, I just one day I told my wife this, and I was like, I just realized this is no joke. For like, I think almost my entire grade school, I think it was my entire grade school years, from kindergarten through 8th grade. I went to a private Catholic school, and they didn't have a cafeteria. They didn't get a cafeteria until like after I had graduated. They have one now, but we didn't have like a cafeteria. So every single day we got takeout food delivered to us. I shit you not. Every day we had a Pizza Hut personal pan pizza, Taco Bell Cholitos, or we had a hamburger from McDonald's. This was every day. I mean, like this was like every day there was a hamburger day from McDonald's. There was a personal pan pizza day from Pizza Hut. Personal pan pizza. You would get a Taco Bell Cholito, which was a chili cheese burrito. You would get Long John Silver's, where you get fish and a hush puppy. This just dawned on me. I ate fast food every single day, almost my entire life. And that was normal. Like nobody said anything. I mean, I was born in the 80s. By the time that I graduated grade school, it was 98 was when I graduated grade school. So even this isn't that long ago, So from K through 8th grade at this school, I ate a fast food lunch every single day for my entire growing. I mean, does that not blow your mind?
No, because if you don't eat
Wendy's chicken nugget
food, right? You eat a low grade of fast food that they serve you,
right?
So you have no choice. I mean, it's not like like for me when I was growing up, I live in a small city, right outside San Antonio. You don't have a lot of restaurants or anything like that, and that's not like so. You in school, it's not like there's other food places around the school that you can eat. The only food you can eat is inside a cafeteria. I don't care if you're a millionaire, you still have to eat the food in there because there's no other food. And the food is worse than fast food. Like you would rather go to McDonald's, and that's your once in a year. If you eat at McDonald's, you know how they serve you the personal pizza, but this pizza is like the worst thing. You don't want to eat it.
Oh yeah, no, I loved the flat ones when I got into high school, and I could those flat square ones that they would like. That was my favorite. I ate those pizzas all the time. Like that.
I remember my school day food. Those food is nobody would want to eat unless you like really hungry. I would rather eat the fast food, but the thing is, these things are worse than fast food. Has more grease, has less quality ingredients than the fast food themselves.
That's really sad. Either way, it's sad. The point is, what I was getting at is, it's gross and it's sad. Like, I mean, that's what that's what we train ourselves how to eat, and I thought that was totally normal.
It's like the thing we think we are asked
trash can. Trash can. So anyway, onto the reflection. So my reflection title on this one that's called Upcycling. I started this reflection off with kind of similar to what you were talking about. I swear to God, I learned more in this book, more new information in this book alone than I think that at the time, and I don't know, it probably might still hold true. I'm trying to think if there's been another book like pound for pound more new information. I don't know that I can think of another book even since this, because this was months ago that I read this, right? What I learned in this book, I mean, this was all just so new information for me because I've never really studied diet and nutrition a ton other than, like I'm a celiac, so like I eat gluten free. So yes, I know all about that world. And I know all about how gluten, and certain grains impact you. And I also eat dairy
It
free.
just means that you're not evolved either. I mean, you're not evolved in a separate way than me not evolving in a way that I can process any sugar.
Yeah, pretty much.
I
Yeah.
mean, I literally cannot process a few grams of carb. My body cannot do it,
Right.
right? Because you know how people are eating keto, you have like maybe 2, 3 grams of net carb, right?
Hmm.
I can't even take that.
Oh, wow.
I
Like, is
can't
it,
even take it.
do you have like an allergic reaction or something to it, or?
No, it's just my body just won't process that at all. It just sits
Wow.
there, right? The only thing that takes away the sugar is the muscles,
Yeah.
right? But your muscle they don't take away that much.
Right.
Your body has to, the cells has to go and absorb them, the sugar in your bloodstream. Otherwise, it stays in the bloodstream until your muscle uses them. And
Well,
that's
I
the
mean,
only way I can use it. So that means that for me, even eating like a 1 gram of carb for whatever, it still has an impact. I mean, not as
interesting.
much an impact as I'll be eating, a bowl of rice. It has like basically, if a bowl of rice will raise my sugar to 200, it stays in that 200 for like 3 days
Uh,
without coming down. It won't come down. So even with medication in the past, with my medication, it brings it down. But because medication actually forces the cell to absorb it,
yeah, that's
right?
bad.
So it goes down because of that, but it didn't go down because it's using it. So that means that for whatever I eat, it stays in my bloodstream until my muscle uses it. But my muscle use like maybe 5% of it. So it takes forever for me to burn it up.
Yeah.
It's just not possible. And because you're if you don't have the energy, the food to eat, your muscle is weak, so you can't actually burn it. So it's a catch 22.
Actually, now that you just said all this stuff, I think pound for pound, another book that I learned a lot from was The Complete Guide to Fasting, about how all the sugar in your body works and how so the stuff that you're talking about, like I didn't know any of this stuff. Why We Sleep. I would say Why We Sleep might be pound for pound one of the biggest new information books that I've ever read. But to your point, like I didn't know any of this stuff either. And I was learning about this, and it's important to learn about. I mean, you clearly know a lot more about this stuff because you had a physical health condition need to go explore this. I'm exploring it a little bit more because you encouraged me to explore it. This goes back to like, don't do it alone. Like
Right. Have celiac disease, right? You're gonna have to find out what your options are, right?
I was diagnosed almost 16 years ago now. So, I mean, yeah, my life's been adjusted to that for a really, really long time. And hell, I stopped eating dairy like 5 years ago, at least, maybe. And recently brought back cheese, and I'm really miss cheese. And I'm actually glad that I brought it back because I actually really like it. And it was probably because of books like this, to be honest with you, that I allowed myself to eat cheese again. I don't drink milk, but like I ate cheese. But anyway, this book I learned a shitload from. And I thought this book, it wasn't just about meat and it wasn't just about vegetarians and vegans and whatever. It was about a lot of things. It was about like land management, agricultural management, meat production, climate change, greenhouse gases, nature, ecosystems, politics, family, farming, ancestral human history, nutrition, diets. I mean, it had a lot of stuff in it. I thought it was a really good book. I thought it was really balanced. And like, to be clear, I said this at the beginning, I don't have a dog in the fight in terms of plant-based versus meat-based. Like I didn't come into this with any biases because I don't really care. Honestly, I just kind of eat what I want to eat as long as it's gluten-free and I guess dairy-free, for the most part. I just am like, oh, I can eat it. I'm eating it, like, and that's fine. Like, I mean, as long as I can eat it, I'll eat anything really. And I'll eat as much of it as I want to because I work out every day. And that's always been my justification. I'm like, well, I ran 5 miles. I can eat whatever the hell I want to eat. Like, I don't really care, like as long as I can physically eat it, I just would. Now, after reading this book though, I think one of the most interesting things that I learned about was this concept of upcycling. It kind of blew my mind a little bit. I had no idea, like cows have like 4 stomachs, right? Camels and other animals like that. They all have like,
All ruminants have 4 stomachs.
They all do because they eat grass. Grass is hard to digest. It's hard to process anything from it. So like cows, when they're sitting around all day long eating grass in the fields, they have to go through like 4 different stomachs for them to process that food and to turn it into something, right? The beauty of upcycling that I learned is like the idea of upcycling is known as creative reuse. Do you remember this term? Do you know what I'm talking about? Okay, so this upcycling is also known as creative reuse. It's the process of transforming byproducts, waste, useless or unwanted products into materials or new products perceived to be of greater quality, such as artistic value or environmental value. So basically, like these cows, these other animals are taking the food that we shouldn't be eating anyway. Like, I mean, we should not be eating grass. When you eat wheat, you're eating grass. When you eat oats, you're eating grass. When you eat rice, you're eating grass. You know, like these are all grasses. Like, I mean,
Yeah, you're eating wheat and you're
the
getting
grass.
grass.
Yeah,
That's why
right.
you
Yeah,
you
right.
have celiac disease.
Exactly. You can call it
Because
whatever you want to call it, but we're not supposed to eat grass. Like human beings are not supposed to go graze and eat grass. We only have one stomach. Like these cows have evolved and other animals that eat grass have evolved to be able to process these types of foods so they can sustain and live their life off of. The beauty of what they do though is they process it and they upcycle it into things that we can eat that are nutrient dense, like milk, eggs, meat. When they go through all the hard work of doing it, it's just like fermentation, right? Like bacteria breaking down carbs so we can drink beer and eat the grapes or pickles, other fermentation, like kombucha, like teas, whatever it may be, right? Like the cheese is fermented and broken down. Sometimes sourdough bread. I always hear from a lot of people that, oh, I can eat sourdough, but I'm a celiac. Well, why do you think that is? Because it's already kind of pre-broken down by the bacteria, right? Somebody's already done some work for you, so you don't have to do all the work yourself. These are things that it was like light bulbs going off the entire time I was reading this book. I was like, huh, upcycling. That's kind of brilliant, right? So it made me start to think even further about taking this concept down to humanity. Well, cows upcycle grass because that's all they do is they just eat grass all day long. They turn it into meat and dairy and eggs that we can consume. That's great. Good for them. That's their purpose. You know, I was like, what the hell do humans upcycle? And then it just kind of came to me as, you know, thinking back on our imagination as our superpower and a lot of the other stuff that we've done and, you know, how we can literally transform ideas into thoughts and things. Like, I mean, we can literally upcycle anything. We are the ultimate upcyclers as humans. We are the creators, right? We can take total garbage on the street and turn it into some amazing infrastructure project or whatever. Or we can build skyscrapers. We can take steel. We can literally suck nitrogen and phosphorus out of the air and turn it into fertilizer. We have the ability to do all this amazing upcycling just by taking the thoughts in our mind and turning it into things in this world. And I was like, man, we're like the ultimate upcyclers. Like, that's pretty cool. So just made me start to think about, you know, how A, impressed I am with humanity, but B, just better understanding around the concept of upcycling and how that can play a big role in people's lives, you know. So the question I left someone off with is, what was the most recent information that you upcycled and turned into a brilliant idea or turned it into a thing or something like that? What are your thoughts on upcycling?
I love upcycling. Upcycling to me is like you don't want to be doing all the little things that you're not supposed to do. You're supposed
Right.
to do like this is where we go. It becomes like, okay, I want to build something, but without having to go through and do all the little nitty-gritty details. If I want to bake a cake, I don't have to go out there and grow my own wheat and
Right.
grind my own flour. I just go and buy the flour, buy the eggs, and not raise the chickens. The same thing is we are using this in companies. Companies, we're using like chips, we use hard drive. You don't go there and build your own hard drive. You want to build
Right. Sure.
computers, right? The same thing with companies. When we use the companies like for example sales, just sales, right? How do you do sales, right? So for me, it's like you don't want to go and study every single thing about sales. You say, well, somebody already studied about psychology. You know, just pick up a book and say, what
Right.
kind of a upcycle that this psychologist give you?
Yes.
Take that and use it. Don't go and figure, okay, let me experiment on this guy. See if I do this, they do that, blah blah blah,
Right.
right? How else would you sell anything if you have to do everything yourself? So you got to take the end product of another entity, another person, another whatever, and use it in your ingredients, as in your ingredient. The same thing with us is we going to be composing, but we don't compose everything. We say, hey, we'll take
Right.
a whole system and create a super system, and a super system create a massive interconnected, super whatever else, bigger,
Right.
bigger, bigger,
Right. Right.
right? So
We,
you want to build skyscrapers, right? How can we build skyscrapers if we have to go out there and mill our
mine the
own
steel and, you
mine the
know, yeah. Yeah.
steel?
Yeah.
For us, we are the ultimate upcycler. We are the ultimate composer. To me, that's a beautiful thing. It's not just us, but you're talking about like animals does it, but
Yeah. Everyone
the
does it. Everybody
right
upcycles, you know.
the
Yeah.
trees, the tree
Right.
takes the nitrogen from the earth and the sun, produces whatever, the cow eats it. The cows gather like for days on end, and they go out there and they pick up all these nutrients and all these
Right.
energy and pack it into the milk, into the meat. And you don't say, hey, don't eat the meat, go out and eat the grass.
The grass, right?
To me, this is the reverse of upcycling that we are good at. And to
Yeah.
me, that's doesn't make sense.
I agree. I mean, we're supposed to take what other people make. You and I have synthesized, in this journey already, 100 and, well, probably not 58, but like, because a few of them have been duplicate, multi-part. Let's just say 130 books at this stage, you know what I mean? In terms of content, you and I have distilled down into a reflection and then a conversation around it so somebody else can digest it and then take it from what they want to do.
There's no need for them to spend 2 years reading all these books.
Right. I mean, they don't need to. You're right. I mean, like they could just follow this journey if they wanted to, and they can have inspiration every single day and upcycle this book, Trusting God Day by Day.
yeah,
I've been upcycling it with my own thoughts, for a while. Like the clubbing, the mentoring, all the stuff that we do, we're upcycling these ideas and turning it into whatever that somebody else can take that and then go from there. With my team that I'm doing, I downloaded this LinkedIn plugin, and it keeps just popping up constantly with this like. It's just popping up LinkedIn. Anyway,
Clutchy.
It's Clutchy. Yeah, no, but like my team right now that I'm managing in my new role, like I mean they're taking all of like my milk and cheese, that
exactly.
I've been, and now they can run with it and make whatever they want to make, out of it. Like they don't need to go do all this stuff. Like I mean, I want them to do their own stuff and then upcycle that and then
upcycle
that, right?
Upcycle.
But yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, the thing is, you think about it, all the stuff that you have to steal for the past 2 years, you are just handing it over to them. And we, as a consumer of the upcycle from the book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, it take that guy 40, 50 years.
Right.
To compose that, right? And we just took it in like maybe a couple hours or a day or even a week. If you were lazy, you can do a week. It took him 40 years to do it. You look at like thinking fast and slow. How long did it take that guy to figure out, okay, human nature, human psychology, how to do this, how to do that. That is so much upcycling that we're using. If you had to do everything from scratch, like, hey, go back to the primitive days and just do from the earth elements and whatever you need to do, that takes forever. Then we're not going to be a good composer if we do that.
100%. I was pulling up Rob, Diana, and Rob, like, because they go deep into their backgrounds, talk about upcycling. Rob is one of the foremost experts on fitness and whatever, all these different books that he's read and or all written, and all these different like workout things that he's done, and like his long ass background of all these things. Talk about upcycling. Like these people were experts, like Diana Rodgers, and she was like a farm to table or true farm to table kind of person, I mean, she's been doing this stuff for her entire life, and they've studied these things, they've tweaked this stuff, and yeah, to your point, we just get to consume it in a nice little upcycled book where I'm like, now we're having this conversation and talking about how we can upcycle this and put our own little spin on it, and then the next person will listen to this, and I mean, it's pretty beautiful, honestly. Like, I mean, it's people doing their meaningful work, turning it into something of value for other people. Like my meaningful work could be somebody else's grass, where they're like, who gives a shit about your grass? Your grass sucks. I don't want your meaningful work. Like that's stuff that my body cannot process that. But for me, I eat it up all day long.
For stomachs, for brains, whatever.
Right. For whatever reason, this journey for you and I, this is our grass, and other people would be like, what are you doing? It's crazy. Like I don't want to be any part of that. Don't. Like, I mean, but wait till we're done, and then we'll show you what we produce, and you can consume that, and you can take it from there, Like, I mean, that's pretty awesome. Like, I mean, just like the concept of upcycling was like something that I was kind of, I was like, oh, that's an aha moment, Like I was like, huh, we all just take other people's, stuff that we care about, and then
I mean, the thing is, why wouldn't you? I mean, this is what I keep saying: is stand on shoulders of giants. Don't go from the bottom. Say, hey, I'm going to be, I'm going to do my own thing, and say these are giants that have come before us, and they have built this gigantic foundations. Why aren't you standing on it? And my takeaway is that if this is our superpower, why are we giving it away? Our superpower is the ability to control between the stimulus and response. We have the ability to choose.
Right.
Why are we giving away? If we are composers and we want to be good at what we do, why are we giving away? If we don't go and take a finished product of somebody and build it better, right? We're not a good composer. That's our superpower. Why are we giving it away? That's my take for this lesson is, we have things that's good for us. Don't take for granted and just throw it away.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I don't know about you, but there's nothing more hurtful than to deny somebody else's meaningful work. You know what I mean? And be like, no, I'll just go find them out myself. Yeah, like you said, I'll go do the experiments myself. It's fine. You're like, what?
They can deny all they want, but at the end of the day, if you were to be a baker, you don't want to be growing your wheat.
There's nothing more hurtful than if you're a baker and you produce a nice loaf of bread. Not to say that somebody doesn't like your art. That's one thing. But to say like, oh, I'll just go do it better myself. Not only do I not like your bread, but like, I'll just go do it better myself. I guess what I was thinking of was like thinking about from the cow's perspective, where you're like, what the fuck, man? All day long, I take this grain and I turn it into, like steak and eggs and milk.
I mean, the thing is, the cow took away all the toxic chemicals that the grass produces to defend itself, so that me, don't eat the grass. Because if you and me eat the grass, what would happen?
Well, we get celiac, so we have.
You and I eat grass, we're gonna get really sick because we can't process the toxin that is in the grass.
Right.
We can probably eat wheat because over the long years we have been exposed to it. Right? But even then, for me, is yes, I don't die immediately, but it hurt me.
It does
tremendously because I'm diabetic, right? And you're celiac. What happens if you eat something that is not gluten free?
My tummy doesn't feel good.
Sick. You get sick from it. If you and I would go out there and eat the grass, St. Augustine or whatever, guarantee you and I gonna have a bad stomach ache today, and we may even possibly die from, depending on how much we eat. We eat.
That's a great point. But
I mean, everything has their purpose.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like we're literally just not only we're like talking to the cow, and we're like, look, cow, like I don't. Not only do I not appreciate what you bring to this world and your purpose, but I can do it better. I'm just gonna go eat that grass myself. And they're gonna feel like you're sitting next to a cow eating grass, and they're like,
I mean, it just goes through your stomach. From your mouth, from one end to the next end, it just goes straight through. Because
you're denying the cow of his purpose, and of the meaningful work that he produces, like that's wrong. I think that's wrong. That's probably more wrong than any other argument that you could tell me about, like, methane gas or, yes, I do not like unethical farms and pumping them full of antibiotics and I think that's gross and I think that's awful. And I do agree that better practices need to be done. Animal management, because animals have feelings too. Like, remember the book that we read, the emotions of animals or whatever it is, the inner lives of animals. I mean, animals have emotions. Like, remember the monkey test with the comfort, like they would put a little blanket to keep warm or to drink the milk from versus just a milk bottle. I mean, these animals have emotions, they have feelings, they're no different than us, so we shouldn't treat them any worse, but we also shouldn't deny them of their meaningful work, which is producing meat for us and producing dairy and eggs and all the other stuff, right? That's almost more hurtful for me than just completely saying, like, I'm not going to eat you. I don't want to kill an animal, but like,
I mean, if you don't kill an animal, you kill a tree. What's the difference?
I agree. I mean, they all, in my opinion, like, talk about the connected nature of all this stuff. And I told you about this the other day with the whole Clifton Strengths, and now connectedness is like one of my top things. I agree. I think it's just as bad to hurt a tree as it is to hurt a cucumber.
A tree is an organism just like us.
It might be more complex.
We are like siblings. Right. Animals and plants are siblings. And one decides to move, one decides to anchor. And over the years, plants build toxins to defend themselves because they can't move, right? So they say, well, I'm going to build, because you think about it, if you go out and eat the grass, you die. Why? Yeah. Because there's toxins in there. Yeah, they don't want you to eat them, because if they don't defend themselves, and they'll be extinct. So that's why they eat them. But cows, right? They eat them, but they eat them for millions of years, and eventually they say, well, one stomach is not enough because I'm dying, so I'm going to evolve into 2 stomachs and 3 stomachs and 4 stomachs. So I'm taking all of the toxins. We haven't evolved to that much. So like I say, my body isn't as evolved as most population may seem not to get diabetes or not to get like inflammation from eating plants, but I do, because my body isn't evolved yet. There wasn't enough time for the whole population to evolve, but that's not everybody. So that means that, for us, we have to eat the things that's compatible with what we are given. We can't just go out and say, hey, I want to be like a cow. Why does cow eat grass? Because they can't eat grass and they don't get sick from it. That's why they eat them. They can't eat other stuff because they're not evolved to eat other stuff. So you can't really say, well, if an animal can eat it, I'm an animal, I can eat it too. Well, go ahead and eat. I mean, it's gonna be your suffering, not mine.
Don't deny people or animals or plants of their purpose. I mean, like to your point, a tree. Some trees are thousands of years old. You're killing a 1,000-year-old tree. somebody that's been around for 1,000 years. Cows maybe live, I don't know how long, like 20 years. You killed that tree with, but you're not cool with.
But regardless of what it is, right? Like I say, you want to live, and if you want to live, you can't eat. If your body doesn't process plant, you just can't eat plant. You have no choice in this matter.
Right.
Like I have no choice. Not you, but I have no choice in that matter.
No, I don't either. I can't eat gluten.
I
I mean, I
can't
feel
eat
like
wheat. I can't eat these carbs. I can't eat the potatoes because I mean I'm
I love
suffering.
potatoes. Yeah.
I'm suffering for eating these things, right? Like I said, I can't eat it. Not even
Yeah.
a tiny bit. Most people can process a certain amount, and some people can process more amount. But like I say, each of our bodies have evolved at a different rate. It has evolved because for the last about 1,000 years or so, we have been conditioned to digest
Right.
some of these plants. That's why we eat more and more plants now. But that doesn't mean that we're supposed to or not supposed to. Are you ready to eat it? Right? Meaning, like, did you have enough conditioning? Did you have enough training to process the toxins to this and that and whatever, right? Because if your body doesn't have the defense mechanism to process alcohol, for example, you can process alcohol, but I can't.
Right.
When I drink just a tiny bit of alcohol, my whole body get inflamed and it's completely red.
Wow. From the sugar, just because the carbs in it.
I don't know about that, but just alcohol.
There's a ton of sugar in alcohol.
Probably,
Yeah.
because I'm basically get
I mean,
like completely dark red. Like I think it's called like an Asian alcohol or something.
I mean, 1.2 grams of sugar in a glass of wine.
It's like Asian alcohol flush or something like that.
Is 1.2 grams of sugar a lot of sugar?
No, it's not last year.
Okay, well then maybe there's not a ton.
It's alcohol, sure. Because I've eat rice, eat potatoes, so my body doesn't turn red, like plum inflamed red. So I think it's alcohol, not a sugar.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, well,
But like I said,
yeah.
my body isn't processing the alcohol at all. It doesn't, right? And so you don't have a choice in that and say it's not say hey, I'm supposed to eat it or not supposed to eat that. It's not about that. Can you eat it or cannot?
It's carbs, not sugar. What am I talking about? In alcohol, like there's a ton of carbs in alcohol, not sugar.
1 gram of carb, 1 gram of sugar.
Yeah.
Carb is basically a complex sugar.
Right. That's what I meant. Like, I mean, there was a lot of. I was wondering if it was the carbs and the.
No. I can eat carb and suffer the high sugar in my blood, but it doesn't turn my whole body red. But when I drink a little bit of alcohol, right, it turns it red, like completely, like my whole body, my face, my fingers, my body is basically swollen and it's red.
Right.
Like a plump red. So that's to me is alcohol.
Yeah, it could be. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
so my body can't process it. So regardless of saying, hey, you're a human, you're supposed to be able to drink alcohol. Well, I can't.
Right.
And well, you're supposed to, but I can't. That to me, there's nothing about supposed to or not supposed to. Let's say, hey, you're not supposed to eat, designed to eat that or whatever. It's not about that. It's are you conditioned? Are you trained for it?
Right.
I think if we continue to eat the plants, eventually we'll evolve just like the cow did.
Sure.
Right? At that point, you say, well, we're supposed to eat plants, but not right now. Right? But some of us among the populations can process the carbs, can process the gluten, right? You know what I mean? Because your body hasn't evolved to the point where it say, well, this toxin is not going to bother me. I'm just going to flush it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's not about you're supposed to or not supposed to, because if you're conditioned to, then yeah, you're supposed to. But if you're not conditioned, then you're not supposed to.
Everybody's different. Yeah.
Humans supposed to this or not supposed to do that. That's to me none of that. If you don't, then don't eat it. If you do, then you eat it. I mean, I'm not saying, hey, don't
That's
eat
a
the
good point. I
plant.
mean,
If you can, eat them. Great, good for you because you can. That's your superpower. That's your talent. Use it. I can't, so I'm not gonna eat it. So I'm not gonna get to the debate whether, oh, you're vegan, you're bad, you're meat eater, you're bad. If you do that, you're missing the point.
I
Right?
agree with
To
you.
me,
I think it's a good point.
if you can eat meat, eat the meat. If you eat meat and all this stuff, pick your choice. I don't care. I don't judge you on that but if you're sick and you're trying to say, well, I'm not supposed to eat it, you're just being dumb.
I agree. Yeah.
To me, I'm not gonna judge you. Say if you can eat all this carb and you're not sick, you're not inflamed, your body is processing it, and you're like healthy and thriving, I won't judge
Right.
you. I'm not gonna say, vegan, meat eater, this and that, or you should, oh no, we're supposed to be eating plants, we're supposed to be, not killing animals or killing whatever. To me, you just make up stuff, make up. You're just making things up as you go along, and to suffice whatever narrative that was given to you. And to me, that's kind of silly because you're supposed to form your own opinion rather than take somebody's opinion as your own. To me, that's the biggest mistake you can do is take somebody's opinion as your own. So yeah, an opinion is good, but you always have to check it. Because
Right.
if I read what the meaning of Stoic, it's like these guys are stupid. Because why
Right.
why would
Right.
you not show emotions when you keep take all this shit, right?
Yeah.
I would not believe you because the thing is that's what was told to me. But if I were to take that and say, well, that's what people told me, I'm going to take it and I'm going to stand by it and I'm going to stand firm on it, then I'm being a dumbass. For me, it's like I don't know shit, so let's see what Chris has to say
Yeah.
and see if it
No,
makes sense.
I think that's a really great point, and I think I just learned a lot from that point because, like, to your point, just kind of saying that back in my own words, I guess would be, one of the reasons why humanity survived and thrived because we were able to adapt and flourish in a lot of different environments. So to say that there's only one way to eat food is a stupid thing to say. There's a reason why we've evolved and are as strong as we are today is because we've found multiple different paths, right? It's like the wisdom of the crowds, eat whatever and we'll all figure out how to get there. If you hit a roadblock, then go back the other direction and go find the stuff that you need to go find. But to your point, it's figure it out for yourself. I mean, whatever works, works, but understand how all this stuff works and keep learning and growing and all that good stuff. So I think that's a really good point. Very cool. Oh, this is a good book. I would recommend this book to anybody. I think this was, whether I don't care what dog you have in the fight or not, or if you don't even care about the fight, because
Yeah, I don't care about the fight. I care about
right,
myself because if I
right.
can't like you can't eat gluten, so you're not gonna eat gluten. I'm
Yeah,
on
if you
this
if you came in
side.
here saying wheat was the best thing ever, I'd be like, well, I'm gonna change
Okay.
my life. I mean, I'm doing what I'm gonna do till the day that I die because I don't feel bad when I eat it, or when I don't eat it.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I love it. Well, thanks for any final thoughts here for today.
Takeaway is you gotta upcycle your own, right? Build your own whatever it is you want to build. Don't use somebody's narrative as your own. To me, that's the biggest mistake you can ever do. Is
Yeah, it takes
always check, right? Always check, always keep an open, considerate mind. Say, okay, I don't know. Let's see what I have to say. And does it make sense? If it makes sense, great. If it don't, it doesn't.
some
Like
emotion
you
to
say,
people.
somebody look at us and hey, why are they eating grass? Right? I don't want to eat grass. Whatever it is, right?
Right.
Are they the right fit? So there's never ever gonna be one size. Hey, this size right, this size wrong. I don't think that's ever gonna happen in the environment that we are in, which is the what do you call it? Not kind, but
Wicked. Yeah.
wicked
Yeah.
environment, right? It's
Yeah.
always in flux.
Yeah. You need to commit that one to memory. You always get the kind environment right, but then you're always like, what's the other one? You say that every time. I feel like I say that every time to you.
It's
Awesome. All
okay
right.
that's why you're here. I have my what you call it?
My memory palace
My
on the
memory
other side
palace.
of it. Yeah. Awesome, man. All right. Well, thanks for joining, everyone. And we will see you all tomorrow with another riveting episode
Yes,
of Your Magical Learning, book number 159 at that point in time. Thanks
sounds
for
good.
joining.
Good night.